Welcome everybody back to another Permadirt and Friends Reviews. As always, I'm flanked on either side. You're right. We got Ostrichwrangler with the finger pointing backwards. Yeah, it'll work. It's all backwards. There he is. And on the other side, we have ourselves Poka_TTV. I mean, rocking a brand new PC setup. So much horsepower.
That makes it
look at that. He's even got
news.
Now I can put a background in.
And he put so much extra horsepower now. He put a background in. We haven't got him a new camera. He's still using my old one. Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. Everything else is good.
I mean,
how's everybody doing this week?
Yes.
Good. It's already Wednesday tomorrow.
Yep.
I biked home from work today, so that kind of sucked. It was a little poopy outside, but
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ugh. What would you do today? No, not the physical exercise.
Oh, my bad.
Well, maybe for you then. Okay, so we're gonna get to these things right away. A little housekeeping here. Maybe this would be a good point or a good thing to bring up a few things we missed last week. I haven't talked to you guys about this, but a few things that because of the organization we might have missed last week that maybe you guys caught on, maybe you didn't. I also should have wrote these down. This part I didn't write down. I have a few in my brain. Do you guys know what they are?
Things we missed from the episode?
Yeah.
I don't think we missed anything. I think it's a trick.
I think we were 100%
it's a trick.
Right.
Psych. Okay. So the first thing that we remember we were talking about Ellie like cutting like her bite.
Uh-huh.
Apparently now I couldn't see this because it was TV wasn't good enough and I haven't gone back to watch it. And I think did you guys mention something about like there was the fungus was coming out of it?
Out of her belly.
Out of her wound?
After she got bit, yeah.
But remember they put the knife into the sink?
Yes.
It was kind of showing I think she put the knife in the sink along with like the fungus thingy. It kind of showed it maybe going down the sink, which I guess was showing maybe how it was getting inside all of the pipes. I mean, that's what people were saying. It could be, maybe not, but that's what it showed. Like she had cut it out. She put the knife in the sink, the bloody knife that she was using to cut.
Hold on, I'm scrubbing.
I think, and people were saying on the internet that it showed like maybe that's how it was getting in all these pipes that they were opening up, all the fungus. I don't know. I didn't go back and look, but that's what I was told.
Hold on, I'm looking.
I mean, I'm watching it right now.
She's cutting.
Do you see anything?
She puts a bloody knife with some stringies. Like
are we talking level 12 enhanced here? Like, are we talking CSI level enhances to?
I don't know.
Okay, so we're saying that one's a.
What are they saying? That everyone's getting just flushing their zombie fungus down the drains?
No, but they're saying that's part of like how it gets in the system. Maybe they're washing out wounds or things and it's going down the drain or it's going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but how many people are getting bit with the fungus?
Well, we're going to talk this episode about that.
It looks like it's just blood.
It's just blood? Okay, we call it debunked.
Coagulated into a line.
Debunked.
But then like...
Okay, there was one more and I actually forget. But maybe this is something I need to follow up. Things we missed. Things we messed up, maybe.
That's your segment that you wanted.
I had like two more and honestly I forget them because I'm just like, I didn't write them down. If I don't write them down, there's no chance.
Close my tab. Dang it.
All right. We are gonna sorry, let me just start here. Before we get into that, quick explanation for those who are new or find this online. We will not go beyond this episode. So there are spoilers for this episode and previous ones. We're not going to go beyond episode 2. For obvious reasons. There's new people watching the show, blah blah blah, whatever it is. We don't want to ruin anything. If it's your choice to ruin it, you know where to find it on the internet. But we won't be the people doing that for you.
I also don't remember anything else past that point, so that was the only spoiler.
Sure. Some people are genuinely ignorant. All right. So Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, entitled Through the Valley. Did anyone Through the Valley, does that like resonate with anyone? I felt like
she literally said that she was walking through the Valley of Shadow and Death.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. It was the song is what I understood. It was linking to. Okay, good. I was making sure it wasn't anything else. I'm like, there was no valley. It was all mountain. Okay, what does it matter? This is 56 minutes, 10-second runtime, I believe, thereabouts. This one is directed by Mark, I think it's Mylod, I don't know. He has previous work on Entourage, Game of Thrones, Succession was his big thing. He did a lot of episodes of Succession. He did 16 episodes of that and produced another 37. And also...
Succession's a banger.
here's a big one. Ostrich, does this person's name ring a bell at all to you? Like this guy's name so far at all?
His name?
His name
I was just
at
no,
all
I
for
got
you?
distracted. You said his name, and I just thought, my lord. And now I don't
My
remember
lord.
anything else.
He has a few movies. They're not really bangers or anything you'd really probably recognize, other than Ali G in the House.
My goodness. Speaking of
Doesn't
throwback.
that bring back? Doesn't that a little
Holy.
throwback to you there? This one is written by Craig Mazin as well.
Glad that
So
DVD's coming.
he's flying solo on the writing here for the first few. I think once we get around the episode 5, 6, 7 area, that's where he starts getting help. So Craig Mazin again is the one in charge. Oh, I need a drink. Okay, here we go. It opens up on Abby, Salt Lake City. So once again, we're back. We're back with Abby and the crew. Going down a hallway, talking to herself. If you've watched the first season, you can identify this is that infamous hallway right before the room where they're doing the surgery on Ellie. And she's putting herself in there. She's slowly walking down with her guns. She, it looks like she's at the ready. And eventually there's a character that pops up behind her, and lo and behold, it's her talking to herself. Which again signals right away this is a dream. The Abby that's sitting back there is like, hey, don't go in that room. Don't do it. Don't go in there. You know what's in there. Like, I've seen it. Don't go in there. And she does anyway. And she snaps up from her dream, and she is now awake. Which again, that'd be terrible. Was there a point to it?
Yeah.
Other than just saying it haunts her dreams, I think, is that she's just, she can't stop the misery, maybe, is what I took it. Like, she can't stop reliving that torture, which is fueling her.
I just thought it was an interesting choice with to have herself telling herself.
I think there was a part like this in the game.
Was there?
As well. I think there was a part where you play this where you're kind of going through the door continuously.
Yeah, I think so.
I
do remember that. I feel like I do remember that. I could Mendeling myself though.
Well, it could be too. So she wakes up with Owen admiring the size and how big the town is. It's kind of a funny scenario where they're all slowly waking up one at a time. And then this is the first time they've seen Jackson in daylight, and they look up and they go, holy crap, this place is huge. During the night with the lights lit up, they thought like, oh, maybe it wasn't that big, but they looked at it and like, this is a city. A thriving city at that. How big the town is. And then this is also, we didn't bring this up last time, a little bit of not a cameo because she's actually acting, but Naughty Dog, of course, who's the maker of The Last of Us, has a new game. What's it called? Not Interstellar. That's something Intergalactic or something like that. Look it up just to make sure I'm not lying to anybody. One of you. I think it's Intergalactic, and they have their main character they've shown
you're right.
is being played by Tati Gabrielle, who is the lady in here who is playing Nora. You know which one Nora is? She has a really short hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the actress from the new game. So it's kind of like a little bit of crossover. They're working together on multiple things. That's kind of a cool little thing. We missed it in the first episode because she was there
the buzz
in that first shot. Yeah.
Oh, there's just buzzing her hair. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. A lot. Neat.
Yeah, it's like identical. Of course, they make her look identical. Anyway, so she wakes up and again, they're talking kind of, they're not even sure if Joel's down there. They're talking about strategy to try and get him out and figure out like where he is. Because now that they see how big this place is and how well it's fortified, they are all getting very nervous. You could tell that they were nervous. They're like, these people have training. They know what they're doing. They have patrols. Like they have snipers. They have this is not a Mickey Mouse little tiny, encampment. They make it clear early on, and we hear more about it later, but why, but they say they don't plan on hurting anyone else. It's kind of like a mainstay. They make a real point of saying, hey, we're going for Joel. We're not going to hurt anybody else. Cause they were like, we'll get someone captive and they'll tell us who Joel is or if he's in there type thing.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, we're not going to hurt anybody else. Owen has a plan. He says, I got a plan. Don't worry about it. But it's Abby's turn to sort of do watch. And because it's so cold, they decide they're going to do 1 hour watches. Abby leaves. And then it kind of goes to Owen, and Owen realizes he's like, I don't have a plan. Really, my plan is to just get her to leave. Like, we're not actually going to go through with this. This is crazy. And everyone else kind of agrees with that. They're not really into this mission.
Yeah, nobody
so
really cares about it.
Yeah, this is
much as she does.
this is an Abby vengeance mission, and everyone else doesn't really. They look at what they're gonna have to sacrifice to do this, and it doesn't look like it's worth it. So anyway, we go back to Ellie. She kind of wakes up. Ellie and Jesse are talking at her just outside of her the garage there, and he's messing with her. She's like, Jesse, of course, and Dina having a thing and only been broke up a week. Ellie thinks that Jesse's there to make fun of her and bug her and be like, what the heck? Like, we just, and he makes a joke about too. We've only been broke up a week and you do this, and she's all defenseless. It's kind of like, I don't know. You don't see her deal with many relationship things like this, and it's funny to kind of see her stumble and be like really green. She's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to. She was drunk, and I was drunk, and blah blah blah." So it's kind of funny. He's like, "I actually don't care." He's like, "I don't care." He's like, "It is what it is." So they kind of joke about that. They're still good. There's also there's talk about the dead under the snow at this point. And Jesse's kind of debriefing her on this, like, hey, there's like we found a patch of dead people and they're kind of coming up out of the snow. We don't know how many there are. But it is what it is. And they're gonna go meet at this like sort of town hall thing that's going on. And then they also start talking about the relationship with Joel, and Ellie says, hey, we're fine, don't worry about it. It's not everyone else's business, it's between me and Joel. They arrive at the restaurant where Tommy is giving a town meeting, going over the plan if they are attacked. Women and children, he says, get locked away in cellars, which is kind of weird.
Correction there. He
Oh.
says the young and the old go in the cellar.
Oh, sorry. Well, I assumed, yeah, okay, the young and the old.
He never specifically said women.
Oh, okay, sorry. All the people who went down there were women and children. So
there was some old people, and there was some women up on the wall.
Okay,
I'll give. But yeah.
Oh, you're right. There was a lot up there. You're right. You're right.
Out again.
Just trying to not to.
It's my Lord of the Rings. It's my Lord of the Rings coming back to me here.
Women and children.
Yeah, women and children. So yes, the weak and the what did they say? The weak and the young.
The young and the old.
The young and the old. The old. So it doesn't matter.
Those who suck, go away.
Those who have no use, go down there. I thought it was weird to put them in a cellar, or like you would think maybe they would have like a better fortified sort of place, because it's like, oh, you're just going in basements with like 3 2x6s. These guys are like breaking through giant wooden walls. You think they're not going to break through this little door? Like,
did it not work?
No, well, they were smacking it until it all like.
Well, yeah,
it bought them some time, but is it a great idea? I don't know if it's a great idea to give you no way out if they break in.
What's the other option? They're just stuck down there till they starve to death.
These people aren't doing anything. Can you not build something better?
I mean, they built a huge base. You'd expect like an escape tunnel for those people, like
maybe an escape tunnel, yeah, maybe like you can cut one of the million trees that are just outside there and put like full-fledged logs out there, not tiny little like 2x6s. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not a bad idea. I like it. I like that everyone's up on the rooftops. I thought that was a great idea. It kind of takes sort of this like cheesy sort of like, oh, we're gonna stand on the ground and watch you come run at us, and like like use your brain. That's what all the nerds out there are always like. Hey, like, why are you not? Brain. You have guns. They do not. Make some distance. So I like that he's telling the whole town this is our plan. And they make a joke about everyone, make sure you have your sidearms on you and your rifles with you at all times, and make sure your safety's on, because Earl shot himself in the leg last week. Everyone just says, Earl.
Yeah, there's the one guy who sewers them. He's like, Earl.
Yeah. Earl, yeah. Oh, so good. Maria then, who's Tommy's wife. I don't know if we really said that. I think we mentioned it last time, but I want to make sure I get that right. Maria brings Ellie to see Seth, who was the guy who was kind of heckling her, or saying inappropriate stuff to her and Dina the night before at the party, and gets to apologize to her about that. I actually felt this is different. Obviously not in the game, I don't think, that I remember, but he generally, it seemed like a genuine apology. Didn't seem like a, oh, whatever, I'm doing it. But of course, and Ellie. Oh, it is in the game? Okay.
Because I'm just looking at it side by side. He does a pretty similar apology.
Oh, okay.
And I would say
I didn't remember that. Good.
Ellie in the show is her usual, I'm pissed off and hate you anyways.
Yeah.
Ellie in the game still has the same dialogue, but face is a little bit more
Mm.
forgiving, understanding, rather than just little RBF face.
Yeah. Ellie looked like a child. Like when I, when I have to tell my kid to say sorry to someone as a young child, they're like, sorry, whatever. It's kind of like that. You know, like she was like, okay, whatever, like say what you need to say, let's move on. And he was being nice. He gave her a nice sandwich, which of course is steak, which I'm going to guess at this point in time is super duper rare. But they didn't really care. So that's great. Okay, then at this point, Jesse and Ellie go out. They're going just out the front. They have their sandwiches, and you're looking out into the distance, and there is a big dark cloud, and they kind of make a talk about like, oh, I hope that doesn't make it here. And then Jesse says, no, it's going to stay up in the mountains. It won't be a big issue. Idiot. Now we snap back to Abby, who is watching in the town from the hill, and she's freezing. She looks like she is miserable. It looks really cold up there. And then you can tell she was about, like, maybe her hour was up. She was about to go back down to the lodge. And right when she does that, she hears a horse. And then she looks down. She sees two people on horseback. We don't know who they are. They're really far away. Back at Jackson, the storm is messing with the radio. So they crank the signal to tell Ellie and Jesse to come back, but they're too far from the shelter. They're too far, and shelter up as the storm passes. So, again, everything's messing with the radios. They have no communication. This part is where things get different. I mean, we could mention it earlier, but this part is different. In the game, Dina goes with Ellie. It's not Jesse and Ellie.
The nerds are upset at this part.
What the nerds were?
Well, because this is where I don't think it's a spoiler.
They get friendly.
They get
friendly at Eugene
moment.
Yeah.
To like solidify them as a couple. But no, it's her and Jesse just hanging out.
I don't mind the switch.
No,
I mean I don't think
I like that even though they change it, they're still paying tribute. Like pretty much every scene that happened in this, minus the Jackson stuff, you'd be like, oh, that's from this part of the game. Like as soon as I saw the cabin they were staying in, I was like, oh no. I remember those windows and something terrible is gonna happen.
Yeah. The cabin looks identical.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was really good. Shot in Whistler, by the way, for that snowstorm.
Yes. Yep. I think this whole season is shot in Western Canada, a bunch of different locations.
Yeah, they said it wasn't hard to act when it came to the snowstorm area.
No, probably real. Probably all very real. Yeah. So yeah, Dina is actually the one that was supposed to be with her according to the game, but they switched out. Jesse's the one going out on this, and they're hanging out there. They end up going into a 7-Eleven that is piled up with well, first of all, Ellie asks, hey, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And he's like, yeah, you mean like a 7-Eleven that's piled up full of weed? Like, it was hilarious. This is that Eugene character that we were talking about last time that was married to the shrink that was in town. That was that female character. I can't remember her actual name, but that's from her, and that's that. Which is funny because she's obviously into weed. They make a comment there about how Eugene hid this all here because he was afraid his wife wouldn't understand. And meanwhile, she's taking buds to do therapy on people, so it's kind of funny that way. And they talk a little about him and how he was like ex-military and how he got, this is kind of how he got brought down, and it was sad about that. So you can tell he meant something to them. But I'm also kind of glad they talked about him. I don't think we're going to I thought maybe last time we're going to get a one-off episode on him. I don't think we are now.
Yeah.
Now that they kind of did all that talking, I don't think we will. And then we track back to Abby, who is tracking these two horses still. And she's kind of going along the side of a mountain. She has to get down to him. So she sees this kind of mountainside and she kind of starts climbing down it. She slides all the way down again, which looks freezing, just getting pelted with snow. And then finally gets to the bottom where she gets up and there's a huge area of clickers.
Oh man, this is where it starts. From here on out, there's just no chill moments.
Yeah.
No, from here on out, you're just on a roller coaster.
Okay,
yeah,
this wasn't in the game though, right? Like she doesn't have this zombies coming. No,
you startled them. Right? Well, there is a bunch of frozen ones all over the place, but I don't think they come out of the holes of the ground. I think you just end up like getting a few, and the noise they make kind of calls everyone else to you.
In the snowstorm.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's no giant hole where they all come pouring out of. That seems to be very unique to this game.
Yeah.
Or this show. Like they do a lot of this underground burrowing stuff, which is kind of cool. Like it also makes them a lot more lethal.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Like you can't just
Yeah.
Although I will say
this is scary.
Very scary.
I will say like being up on the mountain I'm like, it's all rock. How are they tunneling underneath?
Well, how much snow is on the ground?
I don't think
You
there's
saw
that.
that Outdoor Boys channel or episode where he was camping on the mountain. There's like over 15 feet of snow under him.
That was way more than 15 feet underneath there. That whole
I'm just
thing
saying.
hemorrhaged
I'm just
and
saying.
fell out of
I'm
sight.
just saying. There's lots of snow.
There can be for sure. But I just don't understand, like, where are they tunneling from that doesn't collapse? It doesn't
Were
matter.
they
A bunch of different
tunneling, or
questions.
did they just hide? It got cold. They fell and they fell on top of each other over and over again. Make it
That
to
is
giant
some
mountain?
next level brains. I was meant to believe like they would be tunneling, but maybe not
Didn't they say they were using their bodies to keep warm?
as insulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying they use the.
So
Well,
I
maybe
did,
it was. Maybe it's just they all just. I remember them saying it's all about that they were using them as insulation, but I don't. Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
I didn't think that there was
My
any
doggies for a second.
tunneling going on.
Yeah, a
That's not
ton of tunneling.
that's not what I got from it
Oh, okay. So
personally.
maybe that makes sense. Maybe they're just piling. I always assumed based on season 1 that they were. That's kind of what they were up to. But anyway, super crazy, giant pile of what do you call it, of bodies there that just
Oh, yeah.
starts hemorrhaging and moving like water. Yeah, very crazy, very icky. You know, the girl. So let's see here. So where was it? Okay, now that you're back. Oh, yeah, they start moving. And I literally have here, holy balls, there's lots and they move fast.
Yeah.
They were in full-fledged
Holy-
sprint mode.
Yeah, that was
This
crazy.
was like this was taken from like World War Z kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, this
Yeah.
gave me a lot of
not
World War Z
so
vibes.
great movie, but the zombies I felt were so different in that one, and they kind of do the whole stack on top of each other to make a zombie ladder kind of thing, and that's cool.
It is kind of cool. Like it shows them that a little bit more scary. I don't know because they are fast in the game too, but you don't see them in a full-on sprint in the
No,
middle
they're
of a field
Flying
nonstop.
down the mountain. It's
Like,
cool.
Yeah.
None of those guys stopped sprinting for the next, like, they ran like 5 miles straight. Like, they're Jason Bourne out there.
It reminded me of that
Dear God.
that cheese wheel chase they do in that English town side. I just saw them just hawking down the mountain, and I was like, "There's gotta be like she is the cheese."
Yeah. So these guys are just hucking down the mountain. She runs to a wall and barely gets over it. There's some sort of little something's there. I don't know what it is. Was it a mining thing or something? A mining town or something? But there's a wall there anyway. She climbs up and over it. It's a mine.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, she kind of goes
the
around the
mine.
side, like it's kind of weird. I don't know. She just kind of walks through the wall. Like there's no, yeah, I don't know.
She jumps over a ladder, gets over top of it, keeps going. She goes between a fence and a building, which is right from the game as well.
Super cool.
So it's kind of cool that they put that part in. It's kind of a little bit of an homage to the game. And then so she's going through this, which is kind of scary.
This
I think they did a better job.
Beat too. It's
Yeah.
cooler, I think, the show because they switch camera angles and they can show a little bit more details. Like when that guy's reaching through and his hand is getting
his
cut by the
hand's
chain.
cutting in half.
Like there's always like you're freaking out already in that moment, but when there's that one more thing that just makes you like react even more, like that part was super cool. I like that a lot.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Then she runs from the wall. She runs from the fence. And there's one chasing her. Gets on top of her. They're kind of doing a battle, and then suddenly a gun shot goes off. Boom! This thing gets blasted off her, and the camera pans over, and lo and behold, it is Joel. Of course, wrong time, wrong place, the wrong time. They run into a barricaded building where Dina. So they both go in there. Dina starts yelling, "Joel!" And then as she's on the bottom on a horse, she yells up to him, "Joel!" And right away, you can see at that point, Abby snaps into it, tries to grab her hip as if there was going to be a gun there. The gun is gone. So she's like, oh, crap, I can't do anything right here, right now. Because you can tell, obviously, she's now she knows she's identified Joel. So she can't get it. But they do come up with a plan to go back up the mountain to the lodge. Abby convinces him, like, hey, I got people up there. We're heavily armed. We can fight this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, let's go. Kind of just seeing Joel's new sort of nature in the last 5 years. He's been a little domesticated. He would never trust anyone before this, I would say, but now he's kind of got a little bit of trust. he just met these people. Like in the first game, this is something that never would have happened. If it wasn't like Tess, he would have either killed them immediately or whatever the situation is, or just left her probably, to be honest with you. Yeah, so that's their new plan. They're going up to the lodge. It's the only option. We go back to Jackson again, and they're having issues with the radio still and haven't heard from Joel and Dina. They make contact with everyone else. It's pretty funny. Now we snap back to Ellie, who is wearing a bong mask and is filling her pack with weed, literally just pushing as much as marijuana as she can into her backpack. And of course, Jesse's like, no. And she's like, relax. You're one day going to be mayor of the town, but you're not mayor yet. Like, let's have some fun. Which is funny because the bong mask is hilarious. They get a radio response asking, that's kind of like, breaking in and out, but they've been asking like, hey, we haven't heard from Dina or Joel. And of course, Ellie hears that and immediately goes into hero mode because those are her two favorite people, or at least one of them at this point. Back at Jackson, they're opening up more water lines at this point. They have the people. He's literally just going from water line to water line, smashing holes in them. He literally smashes one, then goes to the next one, smashes that one. And then he kind of pulls at the twigs and stuff that are in the pipe, pulls it back, and immediately sees that there's fungus in there because it shrinks back and it's glowing and all this stuff. And he immediately knows what's going on, which is great. Finally, someone, has common sense.
Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Finally has some common sense. And it cuts away from him again, goes back to Ellie and Jesse, who come up with a plan to go to the mine. He says there's two different routes, one wrapping from the northwest and one wrapping from the northeast. They're each going to take one and meet in the middle. Ellie takes the northeast one and they both head out. Now they also make it very clear here that they can't be outside very long because of the cold that's going on out there. That they'll need to go quick. And same thing kind of they talked about this with Joel as well before. That's how bitter cold it is out there, that these horses won't survive, can't be out there that long.
Poor horses.
This is a really cool scene. So we kind of have this this sort of chase scene now. We snap back to Joel and Abby and Dina, who are sprinting away on these horses from all these just millions of infected, it looks like. That's not millions, but there's thousands of these things, it looks like. These clickers and everything, and they're coming down the mountain at them. They're coming from a different angle at them from where they were. And then eventually, about halfway, they all just start turning off. They do a complete 90 degree turn, and they start heading down towards Jackson. We assume the news, the fungus from the pipe, got to them. I still don't understand how it works if they're not connected.
So
these guys have Wi-Fi.
I know. It's just like you just got like
it was
a
connected
hauler.
to the group that popped up after he discovered it. They were running towards Jackson, and as they kind of crossed paths, and then there was like some screaming. I'm assuming it was the big bloater or whatever the heck it's called. I can't remember.
Bloater, yeah.
And then the other ones turned around to follow them.
Oh, so we're led to believe the people coming down off the mountain had the intel?
Yeah. Because there was the initial group that broke out that was following Joel.
Yeah, because it just looked like these ones were running at Joel. It didn't look like they were running towards Jackson. It looked like they were coming down off the hill towards the
Jackson ones came up, and it looked like they were, at least to me, they were running down the hill, and then the other ones like tagged along, kind of. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
No,
I mean, I could see that. That gives kind of an explanation, because that was my first thing. I was like, how do they know? Like, I understand before, maybe if you were all connected, like maybe they're doing it that way, but I'm like, how do the rest of them know? So they can communicate, we're thinking?
That's what at least they're
gotta be
learning to,
something.
or
They can at least grunt
mastermind,
something out.
The big one was like,
Brr.
able to
Okay.
communicate with them.
Okay.
I can't remember if that happened in the first season when that big one showed up too, if that was something that was happening.
I know. Like, I'm trying to remember in the game if they were like ever coordinating with each other by talking or by like grunting
I think
at
that's
each other.
very much a
show thing.
A show specific thing.
Yeah. That could be, because I remember, when we had that, you're right, when we had that big attack in the first one, that big guy was kind of like calling the shots, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, suddenly they stop chasing and they head towards Jackson. Again, really cool. They all just just turn off and go that direction. Everyone is on the roofs. They immediately start hitting the bell. Coincidentally, right when the guy's running down Main Street to try and tell them He's like, right when he gets there, the guy up top is like, ah, hit the bell, hit the bell. They're all freaking out. Everyone gets onto the walls with guns and gas barrels and everything. And then they just keep watching. And they're like 5 minutes out. These guys are just doing a full-on sprint, and they
I
just
love it.
smash into
I
these walls.
love it.
The first row had no chance. Like, they're just sacrificial. They hit that wall so hard
Yeah.
and just splat. Like, it is crazy.
I'm just watching it again.
It is crazy.
And they're
It's
not
crazy.
bracing with their hands. Like, it's arms are
No,
flat,
it's
full
head
body.
first.
Yeah.
It's like they use their fungus heads to just
Oh.
ram right into that thing.
I love it. I think it's such a cool way to do it.
Yeah. And at this point, once they've left and they've had kind of this thing that they're coming and all this sort of stuff, they have a shot where Joel sees Jackson. Because at this point there's gas that's been dropped down and blown up and
barrels
that they're using to defend. And he looks down, he sees smoke coming from Jackson. He's like, no, we got to go back. We got to go back. But then, of course, Abby persuades him because Abby doesn't want him to go back. Abby wants them to come up where her friends are. And so he, again, kind of just listens to this other person's persuaded again for something that he might not normally do in the past, but he's doing it now. I think also maybe the presence of Dina, maybe, I don't know. There's also like some stuff early on. I thought maybe he did it because Dina was there because that's kind of his protective nature. Dina was there and he's like, I don't know if Dina's going to make it down this hill.
How does it work in the game when they are doing that? Because he's with Tommy, so he's not getting that.
I think.
Yeah, they just end up
being chased by.
They're just being chased. Yeah, it's the only safe place. Like those guys, the clickers and stuff don't go towards Jackson. There's no Jackson scene. They literally just chase them.
And that wouldn't
so
work.
They need the guns.
Yeah, because there's just too many.
Yeah, there's way too many. If those guys hit to the lodge, you are screwed.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, persuasive lodge Abby. Tommy hears a loud noise at this point, and it's a big old. Flashback to Jackson. Sorry, Tommy hears a giant noise. They're up on the wall. They're defending, and this big rig. He immediately goes and checks it out, and he's breaking through this wall. He knew this guy's coming through the wall. The big old tank. So he runs down Main Street, which he made a point of in the meeting. Like, hey, don't be on Main Street. You're up top or you're below. Don't be on Main Street. And yet there's a bunch of flamethrower dudes on Main Street for some weird reason. Can't figure out why that was. That was like that. I think the only thing in my head I'm thinking is like, oh, it gives them a target and they'll start running down the street so they can keep shooting. But why do you have like people on the back of vehicles and stuff all sitting there? I don't know. Like one probably would have worked, making a ton of noise or something. I don't know. Anyway. So he's now got a flamethrower, which is pretty sweet. They start running through the city. One thing I thought was hilarious. I'm like, oh, good. Roofs are really good. The infected got on the roofs almost immediately.
Oh, immediately. They figured that out. They were all dying so quick.
Holy crap! They figured that out real quick. Like
you could have like a
barricaded
Home Alone style staircase.
Yeah, like
you can just kind of
staircase. Yeah, exactly. Why are we thinking the same thing? Like these guys have nothing to do inside this place except for prepare for an impending attack. Yeah. Why are we not having like pull up stairs here? Like just like little stairs on like a pulley. You could just pull it up and be like, hey, you can't be there. And then you know what? We're on the outside. We're gonna have some barricades on the outside to barricade this door shut. Like, nope. Instead, they come blasting up and immediately, I mean, there goes all your cover. These guys are fighting for dear life up top there. It's hilarious. Anyway, it's a good plan.
Shooting at them though. Like there are so many people on those roofs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're dropping lots of them. Like you look at the pile that are dying.
Holy.
Yeah, like I feel like they're doing everything right other than like this like little like snafu of like, hey, can we protect the people who are up on the roofs a little bit?
And it's the same thing with when they break into the bakery. Like when it shows the side view of those zombies just like flying into it. Same thing. They're not using their hands at all. They're just like hucking through the window.
Yeah, they just whip through. They don't care about anything.
It's so cool.
It is very cool. So Tommy is gonna take on the big dude, Maria, who's his wife, who's up on the roof. She's shooting down and kind of gets his attention. He sees this and he's like, no, you're coming with me. Pulls out his sidearm, puts a bunch of bullets into him, and starts chasing him. It's weird that Tommy takes him down a dead alley. You think he would know his own city? He goes down there and he's like, oh no, like there's boxes and stuff barricaded here. Like, like you didn't know this?
The only thing is like he is probably used to going that way, but obviously the citizens were prepared for it and they barricaded it.
Yes, that's my thought. The citizens barricade, but why are you? I don't know. To me, it's just seemed a bit funny to me.
There's also a schmozzle of windows that he could just punch through.
Oh
You
yeah,
could
a ton.
He's
climb up
surrounded by
boxes.
glass as I'm
The
watching
boxes
that
didn't
scene.
look that
Yeah, you could have
like
climbed the boxes too.
yeah,
Anyway,
typical video game.
doesn't really
Can't
matter.
knock
He's
the
like, oh crap. And this Tommy eventually takes down this big dude with his flamethrower. You have a bunch of cool looking scenes where he is just cooking this dude, but the guy keeps coming forward. It's not really doing anything. But he keeps cooking him and cooking him and cooking him, and luckily he dies literally like 1 foot in front of him.
That was my only
That was
beef.
very video game too.
I hated
That was very video gamey. That was like you could see the health bar.
Yeah.
Please,
He was
please.
And
sitting
it's
on
like,
burn down
yeah.
with just like little numbers of health like flying off
Yeah.
of him. Borderlands
Yeah,
style.
exactly. I was like, oh my god, okay, that's very video gamey, but whatever. Like,
It just looked, it was
so
tacky.
so is
Like, I
it.
didn't like that part. I like that they showed like his PSI on his gauge is getting lower, showing that he's running out.
Yeah, he's running out. Yeah,
For the thing to take like its big wind up and then just kerplunk, like
yeah,
it was lame. I'm
yeah.
also
It
really
was a
happy
little
that
bit.
he lived though.
I am too. I'm glad
Yeah.
that they didn't pull.
I was worried.
quick-
I was like, are they gonna kill him? Are they gonna kill both
know.
of them?
Because I really like
Yeah,
him
it'd be
and
crazy.
Maria having like that full conversation with their eyes as this whole fight's going on. Like
Yeah,
they don't.
because you
need
could
to
kind of
die.
tell like they're will they or won't they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, he takes on the big dude. Oh yeah, at this point, Maria is running. Now she's down off the roof. Gets down off the roof, is down on the main I can't believe floor, but you're on land here. And she goes to this area and releases the hounds,
Oh yes.
which was pretty friggin'
She
cool.
sticks to the plan, man. She knows exactly
sticks to
what
the
she has
plan.
to do.
Like these dogs are some pretty sick dogs. Like I don't know. Like I was kind of like, it'd be hilarious if she would open them up and they just ran out of town.
Just turned around.
Just-
Like the
just
other
like-
guys with the flamethrowers, they just turned
Yeah,
around and
just
took
turned
off.
around and ran.
The collision is
She-
so good between them too. Like I feel like
Oh yeah.
the VFX
Like, they're big
are
dogs.
just so wild. Like the collisions are
Yeah.
really good. You see the dog like grabbing that zombie's neck, and it's so gnarly looking.
It's so gnarly. You can just tell these things have been trained. They've been training all these dogs to do this stuff, which is really cool. I mean, because by any means necessary, and dogs seem helpful in the situation.
Yeah.
At this point, once the dogs are released, we show them, yeah, they're tearing up, and there's a bunch of them. I thought when she released it, it looked like maybe there was like 10 dogs. It looks like there was maybe 30, 40 dogs
Yeah.
that were in this town. Like there was just line after line. It looked like the freaking Rohirrim running down to, like they're just grabbing people and ripping them down. It's awesome. Anyway, I thought it was really cool. At this point, we snap out of Jackson and we go back to Abby and Joel, who have now arrived at the cabin. He's trying to get a hold of Jackson. He's at the window looking down. He's on his radio. He's trying to radio in and no one's radioing back. And at this point, Abby kind of sits there and says, hey, like they're looking at Dina. They have a medic there and looking at Dina, who's a little bit of what do you call that?
Old.
No. What? Mold? No. When you're cold,
Hypothermia?
frostbitten. She's frostbitten on
Frostbite.
her hand a little bit. Frostbite,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
On her hand, and she's looking and she's like, okay, we gotta treat this right away. And she says, oh, that is Dina. And this guy is Joel. And immediately everyone pops, their eyes kind of come up, and you can kind of tell, okay, look what I've brought you. Look at this, and everyone kind of gets serious. They pull out their pistols and start talking. This is where they also drug Dina, basically saying like, hey, put your gun down. We're going to drug. You don't want, like, you're going to want her drugged for this, basically is what they say. Because what's about to happen, you don't want her awake for. This won't, like, and they kind of, it's creepy. And it's also,
Oh, I hated it.
it's weird at the same time because they're like, don't worry, we're going to drug her and it'll only be for an hour. And of course, on your other part, you're like, it seems weird that they're trying to like protect her, but not really. Like, this is a dangerous situation.
Well, even the way she's talking to her about it, she's like, trust me on this. Like, I'm not. You can still tell that not all of them are super psyched to be a part of this.
Yeah,
eventuality
exactly.
thing.
Like, they're just along for the ride almost. Some of just being dragged along on this. They keep talking, and Abby's kind of like giving hints so that that Joel can kind of figure out who she is, because he obviously has never seen her before, can't figure it out. So she's giving hints, and so he says fireflies, and Abby says the fireflies are all dead, and basically says, if you tell me the truth, Dina will live. Again, it's also a little bit of back and forth here, because her immediate people look over at her like, hey, like we said we weren't going to kill her. Why are you threatening this other person?
Yeah.
Because again, I don't know if they go over it right now. I actually don't have it written in. I think this might be where they're like, hey, we don't hurt, because they're kind of talking about how they're different than him. We don't hurt unarmed people and sort of stuff like this. Because this is where they drop the sort of the thing that her dad was the doctor, the surgeon that was going to work on Ellie that you see in the first season, that he just shoots in the head when he walks through that door. So then what happens here? Oh, then she pulls the shotgun out and immediately blasts him right in the legs.
Man, he got
just whipping. Yeah, just whips him down. And then she immediately says, hey, bandage him up. Like, hey, you're not gonna die on me this quick. We're gonna bandage you up and we're gonna make this go as long as I want to kind of go. She does have a line later about that. But we're gonna that's a little bit later. She also tells him that he killed 18 soldiers and her dad was the one unarmed person. That she also saw her dad's brains on the floor when she was just 19, and that she's now joined a militia for the last 5 years. It's the WLF, right? It's like the Wolf WLF, I think is what they're called in this game, or sorry, this show. And basically she says they've been trained to not kill people who cannot defend themselves. Abby says that she will kill Joel because there are some things that are just wrong. That, this code is good, but at a certain point, sometimes you just got to do stuff to break the rules a little bit because you're kind of an evil person.
Which really makes her whole, I have a code, but I'm not using it. So it's like, what was the point in telling him any of that?
Yeah,
exactly. Which is something this whole season is going to be really good at, because there's a whole bunch of, this is my code, I'm going to break it. It's going to start an endless cycle, blah, 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 right? Like there's a lot of like themes that go on through this game. It's very themey, this show. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle the rest of it. But yeah, so Abby has that thing, and then it kind of peers off into the side, and there's like, a bunch of golf clubs over there. So she slowly starts walking over there. Joel says, would you just shut up and get it over with already? Because she's kind of doing her monologue, that you always hear, and he just kind of interrupts and just says, just get it over already. And then she kind of takes one out, and she comes back, slowly walks and says, you don't get to rush this.
And is that the only word he says that entire time?
Basically, yeah.
I thought so.
And again, everyone there, again, they show everyone's face is visibly upset by what's all going on here. Everybody from people who are, doing the fixing up the legs to that are, been shot with a shotgun to everything. Everyone's very already uneasy with this whole situation. You can tell that this is not a level of vengeance that they're used to. Back with Ellie, she also sees Jackson burning and decides to keep going up the mountain. So Jackson is burning in the background. She sees it. The camera changes again. Where I think this is where Ellie. Oh no, we don't. Camera changes from inside. You can see Ellie out in the distance from inside the cabin, and you can hear Joel is getting beaten at this point already. And Abby's just going to town on Joel. And Owen is already kind of telling her to like, hey, like stop. Like she's just punching the bejeebus out of his face. Again, exactly as we've been led to believe, she is making this last as long as possible, and she's getting every ounce of vengeance she possibly can out of this. Anything you guys want to add to this so far?
Oh, I feel like you're doing a very good job of summarizing it.
Yeah, okay, good.
I'm gonna get through this.
So we can discuss it. So now we saw Ellie riding up close to this place, and now we're back with Ellie. Now Ellie finds the cabin. She goes in, and she goes through, and you can hear Abby yelling and like screaming while she is like punching Joel in the face and stuff. And you can hear the thumps of like the hand like sometimes hitting the ground, and like, there's just things going on here. So while destroying Joel, it walks in and immediately sees what's going to happen. She pulls up her gun, shoots, but someone grabs her arm. The bullet misses. She gets tackled and put to the ground. And she sees what's going on. She's screaming at Joel to get up. And again, Owen at this point tells Abby again to end it. It's kind of neat
to get up.
Yeah, he does try to get up. His head gets off the ground.
Worst part of it all.
Yeah, like he's still alive. You can tell he's functioning. You can still hear He hasn't been knocked out or anything. He's blood everywhere. He does try to get up. His head gets off the ground. Ellie grabs a golf club that's been broken. We can only assume by probably hitting him with it so hard that it broke.
She hit him.
I would imagine so.
And it's kind of like a blunt, sharp sort of thing. She goes over and stabs sort of Joel in the back of the head with it. It goes quiet. It looks a bit silly, and I get what they're going for. I just think this part it didn't land as well for me, the way they killed him. Like, I know he's gonna die and all this stuff, but like it was very quiet and like silence, like as if, from Ellie's perspective of like, oh, she just blacked out in rage, she can't hear anything. But just the way it looked kind of fake in my opinion. Everything else looks so good. That kind of stuck out to me. I didn't know if that was anyone else's sort of take on that. You didn't pick up on it?
I didn't watch a part. I was like, I can't watch
Oh,
this again. I can't.
You looked away? Oh, okay.
Die once. I'm not watching him
Not
die
me.
again.
Oh, okay. So gets killed by a golf club. Ellie then tells him that they are all gonna die. She says, "You are all gonna die." You're like basically just threatening all of them, and then she receives the biggest punt to the ribs.
Punchy one.
Just absolutely gets hoofed. So that happens, and then they all leave. While she crawls across the floor over to Joel, and kind of has this sort of last sort of moments, even though he's dead already, but has his last sort of moments with him. Abby and the crew leaves the lodge, so now they're outside the lodge, and you see kind of the view from them on top of the mountain. You see the lodge behind them, and you can see Jesse way in the background rolls up at this point. You can see a horse pulls up, and this is where we start hearing the infamous song. If you played the game, Through the Valley, by I think they used the actual version from Ashley Johnson.
Yep, they did.
That was from the game, which sounds awesome. It's so good. So like it's beautiful and scary all at the same time. It's what they used also. They used it in the game obviously, but they used it in the release trailer, the teaser for the game as well, which was again so crazy. Amazing song. And we see that happen. So we know they're both there. And then we go back to Jackson. The song is still playing, and they are cleaning up, and we are seeing sort of the aftermath. So we know they won, but they right away show a guy who, he shows, he holds his wrist up. You see a bite. You see him. He literally takes his gun out of his side, hands it to the person in front of him, and just says, like, we know what it's protocol. Like, we know what to do here.
Was that Seth or was that just some rando?
That was a rando.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that was not Seth. Seth is with the oh no, yeah, I see what you're saying. The other, okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I thought it was
no, it wasn't him.
Guy. Okay.
It was a different guy. Yeah, it wasn't the steak sandwich guy. So you're kind of seeing they know what the code is. No one, like, in other shows, they might try and hide it, right? The infamous sort of thing is like, I'm gonna hide it, and then eventually he ends up turning and killing a bunch of people. It's like, nope, this isn't the case. Everybody knows you got bit. Like, go out this way. Which I thought was kind of interesting. Again, they followed the code. It's kind of the tough part of life. You see Ellie, Jesse, and Dina on horses, bringing Joel's body back. Ellie is hunched over because, of course, her midsection is completely jacked up from just being punted. Dina is pretty loopy because she's still coming off of being drugged. Jesse's the only one who's really sort of fully loose, like paying attention to all this. But they are making their way back to Jackson. And that is the end right there. Huh. All right, boys. Where do we want to start? There's so much to talk about here. Okay, let's talk about the obvious thing first. Right? The big thing that was the worst kept probably secret at this point was the death of Joel.
Yeah. And I was wrong. Like, I wasn't sure if they were gonna. I can't remember if we even talked about it on the stream or if we talked about it after. No, it would have been afterwards. That I wasn't sure if they were gonna try and prolong that part of it until episode 7 and bring it out. But this felt like a finale. Like this episode felt like a season finale.
It was so it moved like this. And they didn't mess around. They got right to it, which I'm glad they did, because we talked about last time again off stream that if they drag this out, and that was somehow like it was going to be a slow season, and I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
We got through it. Again, interesting that it was Dina and him, not Tommy. I think Tommy was with him, or was it Tommy?
Yep.
Yeah, Tommy was with him originally as they go out and look for Ellie and Dina. So now who got drugged? Was it Ellie who was drugged originally?
Tommy got clubbed
Yeah,
repeatedly in the
he
head.
got clubbed and knocked out, but I
Um,
think Ellie comes there and she's the one who gets drugged.
oh, is it? Okay.
I think like they show kind of the hitting, but she also gets drugged. I thought one of them gets drugged. I can't remember which one. It might have been that one. But anyway, the person who gets drugged is different. There's two because the characters are flip flopped around. Yeah, no. As far as that whole thing, they stayed very true to the game. They didn't really pull any punches. I thought it was creepy and nasty and everything it needed to be without being excessive. I think. Like, I don't think it was excessive. At least there was no like eyeballs falling out of his head or anything. No Glenn sort of treatment.
There was no Glenn moment.
It was just very swollen and obviously blood and everything everywhere. But yeah, so I don't know. What else do you want to talk about with this? Is there anything else that was worth noticing or?
So I'll just put something in the chat. This is a quote that the director said when they were going through it, because I watched a little behind the scenes thing on YouTube. It's like a 10-minute thing. Really cool.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
just said, but this is the story about how we all deal with those moments, he said, which do confront us in life. We all think, I could deal with this much stuff. And then life says, and then we find out how much we can actually put up with. So
Yeah.
them kind of being in the middle of a storm and everything's going not awesome. And
Yeah.
then obviously it gets worse. But I think the biggest, I guess, the biggest emotion that I had playing the game was there was so much unresolved stuff between Ellie and him, and it still keeps that same crappy feeling in my stomach when I watch this. Like the last time they talked, she was a jerk. He was a jerk. You know that he's trying to get it fixed,
Yeah.
and he just can't figure it out. And then it's like she has to live with that for the rest of her life. And then even as they are so crappy to him in that final moment, she's telling him to get up and he tries to still get up. He still has so much care for her. And it's like, it's such an emotional scene and they did such a good job with it.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Like they did a very good job of sticking that part to the original. And again, I don't think it needed to be changed. I don't think it needed any sort of alteration. It was always a matter of what were they going to show, what punches were they going to pull. But I always thought the dialogue, or the hatred, everything else was going to come through.
I hated it. I wanted one more scene of like some sort of making slight amends so that it's not that bad. But we didn't.
No, I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did. It's what makes what happens later all makes sense.
I will say Miss Wrangler was an absolute mess.
It hit her right in the field. I guess obviously she doesn't know, right?
She
You said
didn't
last
know.
time she has no idea.
I gave her no warning of anything.
No warnings or anything. Oh,
she wasn't happy
man.
about that.
You should have set up a secret camera somewhere.
It wouldn't have been good. There was
No, it wouldn't have been good.
Tears for 15 minutes.
It's
and
okay.
Then us just silently walking upstairs and making our lunches, not really talking to each other because of you feel like you've gone through some traumatic moment together.
Yeah. And that's fair.
It's rattling. Like to not know that happens, let alone it pumping out in the second episode.
Yeah.
Like
they're not messing around.
Yeah. So
I will say,
it was done so well.
One aspect that was greatly different here was, again, for people who've played it, I guess wouldn't have been a surprise. But because we knew the motivation for Abby, we were introduced to her real reasons why she was up in the mountain. For those obviously who haven't played it, in the game, we don't know her motivations for any reason why they're up in the mountain. We think they're another traveling band of people. They're up in the mountains. They end up, basically meeting Joel on accident, as they were being chased accidentally by a bunch of, clickers that they had triggered just going through, some snow. They didn't seem like they had a target. We didn't know anything about Abby's origin. It was like, here's another group, a band of characters we're learning slowly about. And like you're just led to believe it's different characters. We don't know anything about them. So that when they meet, you're like, oh, good, look, our stories are colliding. And they kind of paint Abby as like, oh, they're like, look at this band of people. They're such good people in the game. You're like, oh, these are such like well-rounded individuals. They're caring. So that when they meet and Joel wants to help them, you're kind of like, oh, heck yeah. Like these two new people we like are so good. And then they get to the the lodge, and they tell the names, and as you're playing it, you're not picking up on the fact of what's all the other characters' eyes and emotions and everything that's going on. You're kind of just being like, hey, okay, good, they figured out they're going to defend themselves, they're talking. And then that shotgun scene, I think is where it kicks off. I think they immediately blast his shins right off the rip. There's no talking before that. It's like, here, blah blah blah, boom, and you're like, whoa, what? And then immediately Tommy gets pushed off to the side, and all these things. For me, the shock value of that I think was higher, because we're like, holy crap, what's going on? And then you get the drop of, oh my goodness, that is Abby is the doctor's daughter. This is her motivation. It's a lot of like stuff thrown at you real quick, and you're like, holy crap, it's a roller coaster. So I don't know, obviously for myself, I've seen it before, so I knew what to expect, but I didn't know for me. I was curious how it hit for you guys, like now that they've messed with the timeline a little bit and what we know about characters.
I agree. I think revealing early who she was and her goals, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but also I feel like if you wanted to keep that like punch of of this episode, like it would have hurt so much more, I think, right? Because you don't know, like, you know that she wants to kill him, and then you see them meet, and you're like, okay, now what's gonna happen? Oh, she's luring him back to her friends. Like, what's it's like, well, okay, you kind of can see the writing on the wall as before it happens. You might not believe it. Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't believing they were gonna kill Tommy, but I was still like, are they gonna kill Tommy?
Yeah. Right. You never know what can change.
Yeah.
We know
So
that she's pissed off in the game the entire time, right? Like, we know that she wants Joel dead.
I don't even think. No. We have no idea she wants Joel dead. We have no idea in the game.
I don't think before he's actually dead. I don't think we know.
No, we have no idea. All we know is that they're a traveling, basically band. I think maybe that they're on hard times or looking for stuff. Like I that's all we know. They don't give any origin really to what these guys are doing or why they're there.
Okay. Can you hear the dog barking?
No.
No.
Okay. I don't mind. Hold on. Remy!
The mute didn't work.
Oh, I didn't mute it at all. I don't mind her having the story the whole time, like us knowing the motivations. It does just, I guess, feel very quick. Like, I could have seen them swap with other scenes to try to delay it a couple more to like build the tension and her hunting them. Like
Yeah,
you said, she
exactly.
could have gone into the city and then been like done some, I don't know, reconnaissance-y things until she found him. But this was obviously like it was in the game, but I don't think I care either way. I'm just glad that they got it all done and over with in one episode. Because my fear was they were going to cut it when Ellie was opening that door.
Oh, okay. Something
And
like
I
that. They
was
weren't going to get the whole story. Okay, gotcha.
furious, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm fine with it.
Okay. Yeah. Like it's fine. It's great the way it worked out. I still think it's really good. I just kind of wonder if it would have been better to stick to the original stuff there. I was on the fence already last week when they showed everything. I'm like, oh, they kind of robbed us of a really good kind of like, oh crap moment. I thought, but I also get like the nature of TV and kind of how they have to tell stories sometimes.
That's kind of what I think. Like, you're gonna be like constantly being like, just wait a second, like it's coming. Like, I feel like that would have been a lot of revealing to have to do. Because I don't think people are quite as patient because you're not, I don't know, I feel like games are just a little bit different in that.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, you get to
why did we
play.
just see her murder our favorite character because we don't like Ellie right now?
Well, and that's the thing. We don't know that they're bad in the game, right? Like, so you'd have to, instead of painting them immediately as a threat, like in the first episode, you can literally have them like they kind of did in the game, being like, we need supplies, and then maybe they find, they find some of the places near Jackson. Maybe they argue like, hey, we need stuff, but do we trust them? We could go into the city and see if they will help us out. But like, is it a bad thing or a good thing? You know what I mean? Like there's ways you could integrate them without telling them really why they are there. That is going to bring up another topic I have once we're kind of done this area, which I'm wondering if maybe some of you agree with, maybe not. But yeah, no, I think overall I'm still very happy with how they did it. It took as long. Yeah, I got no major issues with it. As far as that goes, what do we think about the Jackson part of it? Like the wall, the defending the town, the whole fight sequence, how it was all handled.
That's how I wish like one of the finales of or one of the episodes in the last season of Game of Thrones went. Like just how that felt a lot better than I was like watching. I was like, holy shit! Like, so this is like what like a big zombie battle can feel like, where like people are being smart and you can actually see shit that's happening.
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, I completely agree with you. I like that they're like, and maybe this is because it comes from a video game or maybe not, but I appreciate that they're using their common sense brain when they're making some decisions here. Like, it makes the threat more real when you see how dangerous they are and the things that the fungus can do. Even though the humans are literally doing everything that us nerds would sit in the basement and be like, hey, why are you on the street? Like, why are you trying to fight these things hand to hand? Get up and out of the street. And they make a comment about that, like, hey, don't be down Main. You will get killed. Like, it's a death path. Do not find yourself down Main. And contingency plans and actually being prepared and not being like sleeping one day and these things suddenly attack and then being like, what the heck is going on here? We didn't like it's they had the intel
this before.
Yeah, we made fun of them for the not like cramming the most vulnerable people just in a cellar to hopefully live. But aside from that,
that's
like,
still
everything else was done pretty darn well.
Done pretty darn well. I mean, you kind of nitpick, but like it's still done so well. I don't know. Yeah, the fight made sense. I felt like they did what they could. Other than the few like little tiny nitpicky things with stairs and covering the people on the roof and blah 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 blah, they did a very good job, I think, of this scene.
And it's cool. Like, it kept showing. Sorry, keep going. I really
go. Go for it.
Okay. I really liked how they kept going to the next thing. Like, it showed how much of a plan they actually had. Like, first they're all shooting. Then Tommy knows he has to run and get the flamethrower. Then there must.
And he tells everyone to get to the roofs.
Yep. And
get off the wall, get to the roof.
Where Maria's like, now's the time for me to get the dogs out. Like, they had so much put in that they knew what to do.
And they followed it.
Yes.
It didn't turn into some sort of like, oh, everyone panic and you know what I mean? Like, so it was nice to see that. It definitely gives a more organization to it.
Though, to shoot the zombies on the other side of the roof that are affecting or hurting her buddies.
Yeah, ballsy play.
Very ballsy.
Your shot. I mean, they're probably screwed at that point anyways, but
yeah,
even
ballsy play
on the road holding the flamethrower and everyone's shooting like from the fence towards him. I'm like, holy shit, you're really trusting these people not to miss.
Yeah, that part too. You're seeing all these muzzle flashes literally at Tommy. It's like, I sure hope these people who probably haven't trained that much and are shivering because they're cold aren't aiming half an inch higher on their thing. Because
one thing I was waiting for us to see and we never got was there was a comment about how everyone get your rifle, everyone man your sidearm. The big weapons the professionals will basically handle. I was waiting for some sort of like, big machine gun, maybe some like mounted machine guns up on the roof or something. Yeah, like something like that. Where for to like be like, here comes we got him down running down Main, and it's like and we're just mowing these things down.
Yeah,
there was none of that. So that comment kind of felt out of place. I guess maybe they were referring to the flamethrowers as like their big stuff. But I don't know about that. So I like the sequence. Again, this was completely made by the show, not in the game. Jackson never gets attacked in the game. We spend very little time in Jackson other than the first like couple hours and little flashbacks at the house. We don't spend a lot of time in Jackson. So to get this big fight scene and they successfully hold, I mean, it's kind of cool. I thought it was very cool, and it wasn't overly long, really, in the end, because you're cutting between multiple scenes and things going on. It wasn't, but yeah, it was very neat to see that happen.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to talk about, and we'll have to reach this, I guess, as Ostrich comes back here, is did we think either of these main plots? My theory is, and I've seen a few other people talk about it, and I don't hate it, but do we think having two major plot points going on at the same time hurt from the whole, like the whole plot of, not whole plot, but the whole thing of it all? Would you rather have seen, okay, like maybe episode 2 we have Jackson's getting attacked, and then episode 3 we catch up with Joel? Let's, like, here's the episode of Joel and all these people and Ellie away from camp. So you kind of have the away camp and you have the home camp, and you can kind of stitch them together so they're working together, and you can kind of see what's going on instead of having, a couple minutes at Jackson and a couple minutes up here at the lodge. I'm kind of curious to see or hear what your opinions are on these things. I guess you're the only one here.
I don't think it hurt to do it all in the same episode like this. It just felt fast paced, which is fine after the slow episode that was 1. The only thing I would say is, like, you'd have to start episode 1 with the attack on Jackson then, and then episode 2 would be following Joel and Ellie and them right now.
Oh my goodness, that's a blasted shoe.
That thing is screwed.
That thing is over. That just happened now?
Frickin' dog.
Well, I guess you're not wearing those tomorrow.
Has never chewed one of my shoes before.
Oh shit.
Oh no. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss.
Unfortunate.
Have a moment. Black, like, that's a sandal.
That is it's a sandal.
You should make those into sandals. Yeah. Oh.
This was my $7 dress shoe.
Oh no.
Okay, I take it back. I take it back. We've lost interest.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
These things. Okay, this stream. This is worse than Joel's death right here. This is the death.
Well,
of
okay.
a
Death of a
a 7-year-old beauty, perfect condition. $6 in Mexico.
Them's some old man shoes right there. I'm sorry.
I'm
Those are some
34.
old
I
man-
am old.
Ostrich, I was just saying, and Poco was talking about how I kind of made the comment that, do we think that putting the Jackson fight scene with the Joel death all in one episode maybe took away from each one of these moments a little bit, having too much happen at once? As I said, like, typically maybe you'd see this broken into 2 episodes where you could overlap the timelines, but you're like, during this episode, look, here we're in Jackson and this is what's happening, everything that's happening in Jackson. And then suddenly, the 3rd episode might be, okay, and here's Ellie and everyone away from camp and what's going on, and kind of stitching it together with the timeline. Or what do you think on that?
I don't know if I feel like it did. I don't feel like it took away from either moment, because every time it cut from one scene to the other, I was never like, whoa, go back. Like, I think they really did a good job of choosing which scene was going to be shown at which time, and they never left us hanging for that long. That being said, with Jackson being such a massive fight, I do think you could have had it pop up at a later time.
Okay.
Just because one scene really didn't have to do with the other one.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
they weren't really connected, other than like the zombies or sorry, the clickers changing direction. It would have been interesting. This is always my thought with it. I do think there is some merit that there was too much going on in this episode. Like, we come off a really, like, you guys thought, I mean, I didn't think as much, but you guys really thought the first episode was, the first episode of a season, it was a little slow.
mm-hmm.
I think you could have maybe put like the impending doom, the clicker part of it in that front one, and then you kind of could have ended it there and started episode 2 with like, okay, there's a threat coming to Jackson. We're preparing. We're doing our stuff. They're coming. How did they all get here? We assume it's from the fungus, but we don't know for sure. You could have the fight scene, all these moments, blah, blah, blah. And then the 3rd episode would have been like you could have seen, picked up basically where it was this time, where it shows how this horde was sort of agitated and then why they were running at Jackson. So you kind of feel like, oh, that's what was happening. It was actually Abby who slid down the mountain, who kicked them all up, then went there. And then you could have had the whole thing with obviously Joel and Abby, and that whole thing be its own full episode, along with like, the Eugene piece and the Jesse and sort of the talking. Cause like you could hear maybe in the second episode when you're at Jackson, them on the radio being like trying to get a hold of people because the storm sucks.
Right.
And instantly in the third episode, you can hear them on their walkies being like, okay, so you can figure out the timeline where everything's sort of stitched up. And then it would give, I think, maybe a little bit better pacing to both. Again, this is nitpicking, but I just felt like these were two giant pieces
Yes, they were.
that were hopping between really quick. I almost wanted more of each one, which sounds crazy because like I don't know if you really needed more of Joel, but maybe how that all wound up like before it and after it we needed more of. And maybe and definitely Jackson, I think we needed more. We still haven't really seen a lot of this town and the defenses. I think you could have got a little bit more creative there and shown how prepared they are. I don't know. I thought maybe there was something to it. I've seen a few people, because I like to talk about this around the water cooler at work a little bit. And, I kind of like people kind of mentioned that like, oh, there was so much going on. It was such like so fast that maybe it would have been better to have them separated. But I don't know. I was going to get kind of your takes on that. But it sounds like maybe you guys were okay with that. It was all put into one.
I
Yeah, I
was
didn't
like,
mind it.
honestly, leaving that episode, I was like, man, that was intense
Mm-hmm.
in fighting and then just Joel's scene. So, uh,
Yep.
no, I actually don't have complaints about the pacing on that
Okay.
one.
No
I'm
complaint.
happy.
Okay. I think it'll also matter to what we get for the rest of the season. If we're like,
We're gonna get some slow episodes after this. Well, the next one
we
has
knew
to be.
that because that's what The Last of Us is, right? It's storytelling, it's world building. You're not as much as we've been, you know, we've had some big fights in the first season, and we've had now a big fight in this season. Um, it was it's very possible like that we're gonna get 3 or 4 episodes now of you know journey the
Mhm.
journey, right? Because now we know Ellie just says like, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna kill all of you. So
Yep.
we know what her mission is. Um, I am curious to see if you know who goes along with her, if anyone goes along with her, if they make some changes in the game from the game at that point. If it's a solo mission, what it is from there. I'm kind of curious to see what that happens.
I
What
hope they
happens with
do
that
what's
story?
in the game for that. Like
Yeah,
I hope it's the two of them.
yeah.
I think that would be I think like I don't know. Every time she's had a scene, like Dina's had a scene, I guess, on
Mm-hmm.
I've just been like having a good time and like really enjoying the character.
Yeah,
So I think it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't. If they just said we're just gonna have Ellie. I think you need someone to like
yeah.
to be a audience stand-in, I guess, so that they actually have someone to talk to.
It's true. No, I think you have to. You're right. You probably have to have someone with them. Um, but I was just curious because there's a world where I could see like, okay, well, like they flipped around. Like, does
And I mean,
who's
Dina does
Tommy?
know
Is
the
it
WLF,
Dina?
right? So
Yeah,
I guess they
she
can
was
move
the one that
someone
exactly.
else,
saw that.
but neither like Dina doesn't like. There hasn't been any like close like who does she have family? Like, there's no connection really with her in Jackson Hole. Like, she could very easily just like pick up and go, and from what we've seen, not really think anything of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like she has no connection. She has no family. Joel was probably closest thing to a father to her as well. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. I think it'll probably won't change a whole lot from there going forward. But yeah, now we see this whole now we see now we kind of have the chess pieces in place. Um, things have been moved around. The big secret's out. So yeah, it is oh, crazy episode. I don't know. I don't know if they top that episode in this season. I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
They've got it right. They wouldn't do their best on the second episode, right?
Oh, we don't know that. I mean, they're also at the whim of the original content.
So do
So, or
we
at the yep.
think this swaps this are you think they're gonna do Ellie's story here and then Abby's after that? from the
I
second,
don't
like
know.
she's going to Seattle. She's got it right, or wherever she's
Yeah, this is
going.
a yeah, yeah. That's the direction
Like
she heads. I assume that's where we're gonna end up next, but I don't know, right? Like that's future stuff, so I don't know how much we want to talk about
that's fair. Yeah,
too
that'll
much
be
future stuff.
yeah.
And based on the fact of what we know, like I don't know, I don't know how they're gonna break it up. I got so many questions. For me, this is almost. I mean, I love the show and everything. It's great, but to me, that is my biggest question going forward. Still, even though we got some pacing answered, how are they gonna break this up? Are they gonna, you know, follow the games? Or are they gonna do something different? Again, I'm not gonna say anything else because I don't want to get to spoilers because part of that is that. But how do they do it? And it'll be interesting to see. Because I think if they follow what they've done so far with the game and they maybe mash these things together, I don't know if it'll hit the same way or if you'll have the same attachment. Because right now, if you are in the game to this point, you are an Ellie supporter through and through. Like I think that's safe to say at this point. When you played the game, the
Oh yeah.
character that you played as for most of the first game just got killed in the most brutal fashion possible. You know, Ellie's on your team. You saved her. You feel like you're Joel, and you just been killed, and so you hate Abby with all your heart. At least I did. I remember playing this and saying to the chat, being like, "Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to find Abby and destroy her." Like I remember being so vengeful. Um, are we gonna have that same hatred that you know that's needed on this journey that's coming up, you know, or are we gonna be like so it's interesting. I wish I could talk about more. I don't want to. um
Well, you
or
do.
maybe we make a second. Yeah, I know I do want to. Or maybe we make a second one that is spoilery, what we think is gonna happen. But um I don't know. What do you guys think on that? Is there anything you want to add to that that's not spoilery?
I think knowing Abby's motivation, it will be difficult to feel that same
Hmm.
level of hatred towards her and like wanting her to get her like get got, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
like you don't know, and then you get there, and that's kind of the point of the game was that it's like, well, shit, she's literally just doing what Ellie's now doing, and you're just
Yeah.
seeing that.
Yep. So, um, okay. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get into the review stuff? Anything we missed or messed up, or no? I guess not messed up. But anything you want to talk about that we might have, whatever. Um,
I don't think so. It's a good
Okay.
episode. I put
Yeah.
something in the chat.
yes, I saw that.
There's just a little thing that says the bloater stuntman Glenn Ennis was required to use cooling pads in a cooling tent before being hit with the flamethrower, which they performed 12 to 14 times. It's a lot of being set on fire.
That's a lot.
Almost gave him hypothermia.
Almost gave him
That's
hypothermia.
how cold he was.
I guess so, before going super hot, which
I think isn't there better science than that at this point, where we don't need to freeze the individual before we blast him with heat?
It might have
usually
been
they just
for the
put the
suit.
goo on them.
They put the goo on him. Like, yeah, he's not actually catching on fire too because he's a giant suit on. You think you could just put some insulation in there and
I'm not sure what the deal is.
anyway.
Maybe the heat is just transferring through the suit and fucking roasting him.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I mean, if
Maybe.
it's actual heat, like who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's the
But
thing. Like, before we sign off on this on that whole episode, is I don't feel right now like I'm Team Ellie. She's just been a moody teenager, and it's like I don't really. I feel for her because, well, how things all went down, but it's not like I'm. Yeah, I don't. Maybe I'm just able. Like, Joel was never a good guy.
yeah.
Like, he's done
Well, and
good
that's part of the argument,
actions.
right?
Yeah, he's done good actions. Like, obviously he cares and he's not like a monster, but at the same
It's
time
about
he shot
perspective.
up
Yeah.
18 people and
Yeah,
took
exactly.
Ellie away because he was selfish when they could have saved the entire universe potentially.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's all about perspective, and
Yeah.
that's why the first one was so good because while the ending was crazy and everything, it really brought to perspective like who is the bad guy.
Yep.
We talk about all the time. Who is the bad guy? And that's all about perspective. If
Holy
you
shit.
are someone who believes, if you're Team Joel, you probably think he did the right thing. If you're a Firefly, you hate his guts. If you're anyone who came along the way with this guy, you probably hate him. But I mean, again, it's all about perspective. Even if you're Ellie, you might think you hate him. because of him lying to you and not being honest, and you're kind of suspicious of him, even though you don't really have the evidence. Um, yeah, it's all about perspective, which is, I mean, that's great story writing. That really is the best movies and the best media of all time. Is it makes you think, like it makes you empathize with even the bad people, the quote unquote bad people
Oh
in
yeah,
any show or
for
movie,
sure.
right? Like the Joker and these guys. Like you're not. There's real motivations to some of the worst people there, and you're like, I can see why this sucks. I mean, even you talk, Marvel, Thanos, for as much as you hated him, he it made sense, kind of. Like it was a really terrible way to go about it, but like he saw what was going to happen and he solved it, and he right like it's not
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm just going to massacre half the people because man, do I hate people.
yeah. No,
It's
when
like,
you
no, if we
humanize
don't,
the
these
bad
planets will
person,
die.
yeah, yeah. If you humanize
So
them, then you really people.
exactly,
Then it becomes a moral thought. And even like if you twisted the thing, like Joel and Ellie, like Ellie was the most important thing in his entire life. That was his daughter
yes,
in her. Like you take the most important person in your life, and it's like, would you go and let them die so that you could
hmm
save the world?
yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if I could.
Yeah, it is what it is. And the thing is, I guess we don't know, even if it was 100%, we don't even know if it worked. Like,
Yeah,
and
that's the
again,
thing.
you can, and the thing is, like, people argue all the time too. Do you do the same decision? Like, does does Abby make the same decision if she knew the full story? Meaning, like, you know, Joel never knew that she was gonna die from this surgery.
Right.
He never knew. Like, he didn't get consulted before they went under that something like this was all gonna happen. They just found him. They were kind of tired and passing out. He was resting. She was already in operation. Like,
Yeah.
it there
Well, and
was no.
as
It
yeah,
wasn't like, oh, let's have a consultation. Here's what's gonna happen. We don't even know if Ellie. We don't even think Ellie knew. Right? Like, Ellie wasn't told. Hey, you're not gonna wake up from the surgery. Like you're getting cooked here.
Yeah. I don't think, yeah, they just were like, we're not going to tell anyone. We're just going to, there's not going to be a
Yeah.
conversation. It's just going to be, we're doing this.
Exactly. So like it's one of those things you can sit there and think, well, okay, like look, Abby doesn't know all the truth, but what she does know is that Joel blasted her dad's brains all over the floor and
right.
that he was trying to save humanity. So in her eyes, like you see this, holy cow, like this guy's an absolute piece of trash. But then you go back to the other side, Joel thinks like, okay, it wasn't a guarantee. They didn't sound very confident. They just were gonna kill her, not let me even say goodbye. Like all these things were happening, and then Ellie didn't know anything about it too, and so she didn't get to sign off on it. So there's just a whole bunch of bad communication and scumbaggery going on here that I mean wasn't handled
Well,
great.
and Abby
So
doesn't get a chance to make Joel a human either. For all
no,
she knows about him is he is the monster who shot up
yep,
people when they were trying to find a cure. Which
yep,
from her
and
point of
killed
view, if
all
that's
her
all she
friends,
knows,
and
that's crazy. Like,
yeah,
no wonder you feel that way.
exactly,
Um,
right, and so you can kind of see how this it all plays out like that. But okay, let's get to the reviews. Bada bing, bada boom.
was I first last time?
Permadirt
I
and
think so. I think you were.
Reviews. Yeah, you went first last time.
All right, I'm not going first.
You're not going first. That means Poke was
Shit.
up.
Wait, why don't you get to go first?
You want me to go first? Because I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like
I want you to go
okay.
first.
Yeah, I love
I'll go
this
first next
episode.
time.
There's no doubt about it. I'm trying to find kind of holes in it. I do think there is a world where you could have separated them. I do actually believe that, and gave us two really good episodes. That being said, they are the ones that are writing this. They are the ones who know the pacing of this. I do not at this point. I think maybe at the end of at the end of the season, we can sit there and talk about like, holy cow, we got so much in the beginning, and maybe we didn't get as much as we wanted later on. Who knows? And we can talk about, okay, we would have preferred to have two episodes here as opposed to this episode that we got along the line or something like that. But at this point, I'm guessing. So I have no idea. So I'm going to trust them and say, do you know what? This episode was great. I like that they added in the Jackson fight. It was well done. I love, obviously, I don't love the Joel stuff, but I mean, we know it had to happen. So the Joel stuff happened true as it should have. Nothing was kind of nothing was kind of weird there. It moved at a fast pace. The action was good. So I really have no problems here. I personally am gonna go with a 9.5. I don't think it was quite perfect. There was a few cheesy little moments here and there, which again I'm actually kind of cool with. But I do have to have some sort of uh barrier for that 10. I feel like that 10 has to be perfectly paced. I do feel like there's a little bit sometimes the odd pacing thing here. I almost think two. I kind of almost wish maybe Dino was back there with Ellie when they're, but give or take. I like Jesse too. So, but I'm going with a solid 9.5. Is there any one of you guys who are being who are daring enough to go number 2?
I can go number 2.
Okay.
Okay. I think immediately after I would give it I probably would have given it a 10. Like with just how I was feeling
Did we
after.
talk you off? Did we talk you off your
I
number?
think you might have. You might have talked me off my
Oh
number.
no,
Like,
don't talk.
every
Don't let
time
me
we
do it. Go
talked,
with your heart.
I
Go
didn't
with your gut.
I didn't
It made me feel
I
worse.
didn't like think about anything afterwards. I was just like, "Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous." Like the hour flew by.
Yeah. The gut punch.
So maybe I go with like a 9.8 because you did bring up some good points and like some.
Bro, a 9.8. We're going to 9.8. We're going 0.5 increments.
Can you do that?
What do you mean going 0.5 instruments?
This isn't like the Wild West here. There's rules out here. Okay.
There is not rules.
Did
I'm
we
sure I
have?
definitely would have thrown
just
out
give
the
it a 10 then.
0.25s and
Don't
previous
even take
ones, but
my.
take your give
Did
me.
we do point like weird things, or we do 0.5 increments last time? Do anyone remember?
I have no
I bet
idea.
you I had a 0.75 in there somewhere. It's
Okay,
I'm
I
pretty
will
sure
allow
you
it a 9.8.
You know what? You can give it a 10. That's cool. I'm cool with that.
No, I'll give it 9.8.
oh boy.
This dude just doesn't listen to me
9.8.
no matter what
Look,
I
it's
say.
in chat right there. It's official. No, whatever you want. Just tell me what you want, and I'll put it in.
No, 9.8's good. Yeah.
Okay, now right.
Hey, he gets what he wants.
Anything you want to say about your 9.8? How you got to? Are you just like pacing or just similar stuff, or
Honestly, just the emotions that I was feeling. Like I think I was more emotional. And again, I didn't play the first game, so then coming in, seeing the first season, just feels a lot more intense. I'll say.
All right, Ostrich. What do we got?
Just did it.
He's reaching deep down into his emotions.
I'm a 9.5. I know that. I'm just trying to justify why I think it's a 9.5. But 9.5 was my number. And I don't think I had anything really wrong with it either. I really liked the episode. It was, it wasn't perfect TV, but I don't have a reason for it. And I'm trying to think of the only other 10 I gave to was the episode 3 in the first one, the Bill one.
Yeah,
was that 3?
The Bill. That was 3. Yep.
And that one, I'm sure if I went back and watched it, I might not feel quite as strongly, but in the moment, it just felt great. Both episodes are very emotional, and I feel like I usually grade based on my emotions. But yeah, I think this one is a 9.5. Still, like, it's excellent. No issues. I just can't quite give it a full 10.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's also important to notice too, or important to say, 9.5 is a pretty dang good score.
It is the IMDb one as well.
Is that what it's at?
Yeah, 9.5.
I never look. I try to not look at other people's scores. Well, that's good. Then we're right in sort of the ballpark with it. With where it's at. It was crazy. A 9.5 is an incredible score. I mean, the problem is too is that we've only reviewed this show, which is very highly achieving show. Yeah. It's not like we're watching any other show where you're like, okay, this is a 6 and a 7 repeatedly episode in and out, where it's like, okay, things happen, but it's like meh, and you might get that one final. There's often it's a quality show, so I feel like it's not one of those things I'm afraid to give high grades to, because I know I watch a lot of shows on the side and I never get any of these feelings out of any of those shows. Right? There's only a few you get along the way. So, okay, perfect. So we have a 9.5, a 9.5, and a 9.8. Perfect. I will get those uploaded into there. Is there anything final you guys want to say here with the video before signing off?
Trying to think. Definitely went in depth with it. I'm curious where it's going to go. I'm curious if we're going to get more Jackson for the rest of the season, or if we're going to cut ties, or I don't really know, because again, Jackson's not a big part in the game. I only kind of know where the game goes to after that. But yeah, I'm intrigued because I don't know if I care one way or another. I don't hate Jackson. I'm not cheering for them to get out of it. I like the character of Tommy. I like Jesse's character. I just don't like, they're not going to be any reason for them to hold Ellie there. So I'm curious if next episode is preparation and a send off, or they're going to be there for the rest of the season. So still zombies
who
to
knows?
fight.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Perfect.
Jackson's
Poka,
compromised completely. I don't know, because they had their water drainage thing is all full of fungus and
well,
stuff.
either I don't know if it's a water line or water drainage or what the deal is, but
There's fungus
it's all
in there.
compromised.
Yeah.
There's fungus in there. They don't have any more. They don't have any more flamethrowers to burn that stuff out. So,
No.
anything else, Poka, before signing off?
I got that. That's it for me.
Okay. Then that's it for me as well. Thank you, everyone, if you end up watching this on YouTube. Check it out there. If you listen, give it a like, give it a subscribe to the channel. Always helps a lot. Comment down below if there's questions or things we messed up, whatever you need. We'll be doing this again next week, next Tuesday, right here, on Twitch. Again, I want to thank Poka and Ostrich for joining me and putting their thoughts into this. I do appreciate it. But yeah, we will catch you guys all back here for episode 3 next Tuesday.